Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about my Remington 870 pump action shotgun. First things first, the action is open, the chamber is empty, this gun is safe to handle. Okay, so why do we need a Remington 870 or why do we need a shotgun? Well, a firearm on a North Country livestock farm or cattle ranch, call it what you will, is an essential tool just as much as a hammer, a screwdriver or a wrench. There will be times when livestock have to be euthanized through sickness or injury. Also, large game animals that have been injured by hunters and just left will have to be euthanized. Unpleasant task, but a necessary one all the same. Also, we eat what we produce, so when we raise a steer for the freezer, it has to be killed humanely, and this is a good way to do it. A shotgun shooting slugs is very effective. Other uses, protection of your livestock and your person against predators, large predators. We have black bears and grizzly bears up here, cougars, and other smaller predators that will attack smaller livestock, like sheep and what have you. Leisure pursuits such as game hunting, large game like deer, moose, and elk can be shot with a firearm such as this, with a barrel like this one, which is equipped with rifle sights, or equipped with sights. Also, the same gun, you can hunt smaller game, winged game, such as grouse, pheasants, turkeys. We've even got a few turkeys up here, and it's ideal for that. So let's have a look at the gun itself, some observations if you will. First off, we'll go to the receiver. Solid steel. Incredibly strong. Very smooth, no sharp edges. Works very well. This is an Express model. Express Magnum, which means it's a 3-inch chamber. So it will take 12 gauge, 12 bore shells, 3 inches or 2 3/4 quite easily. Safety's here behind the trigger. This one is an early model with the aluminum trigger group. It doesn't have a lock here, and the slide release is here. So when you want to rack the slide, you push on this. It's a little out of the way, but you soon get used to it. Not quite as ergonomic as a Mossberg, but there we go. A thing you get used to. Modifications now. I changed out the forend. I put this ribbed one on. I find it works much better grip for your hands in cold weather, wet weather. Works better. This is the original. Not too bad really. It has impressed checkering on it, which is not really very effective. The wood is too soft. If checkering is going to work, it has to be on hardwood and it has to be sharp checkering. The only reason this works is because it's got this finger groove on there. It's not too bad, but after a few years I wanted to take this off. Had the gun about 20 years. You can see, she is slightly worn, but very, very slick action. Works exceptionally well. Coming back, modification here. I've opened up the thumb groove on the stock to suit my chubby hands. Just dremeled it out, sanded it and put some walnut stain on there. It didn't work out too bad. Also better for gloves. I've added 1/2 inch to the stock here. Put in a couple of spacers. Made out of hard plastic. You could do the same if you wanted to, or buy a kit. Not a big deal. Remingtons, by and large, I find a little short. The length of pull from here to here in standard form is a little too short for me. But otherwise, the guns are fine. The length, the drop to the comb and the drop to the heel generally suit me very well. A modification I've done, which helps me, and might help a few of you, is I've given the gun some cast off. I don't know if you can see, but the stock is cast off to the right. And what that does is it aligns my eye much better with the top of the receiver and either the front sight in this case or a bead, which means the gun fits me much better. So how did I do that? Well, I was setting up a semi-automatic shotgun, one of the newer types, and they come with a kit, a wedge kit that goes between the receiver and the stock, so that you can cast the stock off or you can cast it on, and you can tilt the stock up or down by putting wedges in here. And I thought, well, why don't I do that for my Remington? Well, I did, and what I used was cooking foil, aluminum foil, aluminium foil, call it what you want, and you cut shims out of it, circular type shims, which you fit in here, and then you just add shims until you get the stock pretty much where you want it. The stock has a through bolt, so you don't get an awful lot of adjustment there, but if you're careful and patient, you'll get just enough to do that. And this gun was done a few years ago, and it hasn't moved, and everything's been fine. Okay, so that was with the modifications. Just a few more observations about the 870 itself, and why it's such a good shotgun. Oh, I forgot to mention these, my side saddle here. Yeah, I just planed off an area of the stock here and put on this Cheat and Cheerful ATI side saddle. Holds 5 rounds, so you can keep your ammunition with the gun where you need it, and when you want to reload, these are dummies by the way, when you want to reload, it's a fluid movement down and then into the mag, just like that. Quick and easy. If you use a trigger lock on the gun when you're transporting it, that helps with the legal aspect, because the gun cannot be loaded and fired readily. Okay, some aspects that make the 870 a reliable and useful shotgun. Well, one of the main features of the 870 are the twin action bars, and what that means is you have an even pull and push on the bolt. This is a bolt here. Now, if you were just to have one action bar, one bar would have to be substantially bigger than the other, but this works incredibly well. Obviously, we're looking at the bolt, which is that part there, and it locks by this lug. I don't know if you can see that. Excuse my clumsy hands, but that lug, I can't do it now. It's incredibly hard trying to look through the camera and do this. There we are. So the lug has risen, and that locks the action by fitting into that recess there, which is on an extension of the barrel. So the bolt lug, or whatever it's called, doesn't fit into the receiver, it fits into the end of the barrel. And the barrel is held on here by this nut via this ring which slides over the magazine tube. Very easy to change. You just undo this, pull the barrel out, stick another one in. It takes about 30 seconds, that's all. I mentioned the trigger group, the aluminum trigger group. Here's another one. This is also aluminum, but more modern ones are are polymer, but they work equally well as far as I know. I haven't heard of any problems. Unlike the Mossbergs, I know which sometimes give trouble on the polymers, but I had a Mossberg for a few years. It was fine. I didn't have any problem that way. What can I say? Yeah, these work very well. Very simple. Well, relatively simple. My advice is don't mess around with this too much. This is the hammer that strikes the back of the bolt on the firing pin here. Very simple. Held in with 2 pins, here and here. So if you drop the gun in a lot of mud or you have problems, if you have, out in the field, if you have a Leatherman or similar multi-tool or a Swiss Army knife or something, you can drive these pins out. Trigger group comes away. You can wash it in a creek or stream, give it a good old rinse around, maybe brush it or something. Stick it back in, it'll work again. Obviously at the end of the day you want to take it all down and properly clean it and lightly oil it, not too much. They don't like too much oil, it collects too much crud. And you're good to go. Similarly with this, you can give this a good old clean. It doesn't take much. When I first had this gun, it had this barrel on it, which is a 28-inch vent rib barrel with multi-chokes. Came with a modified. I bought 1 or 2 others for it. Horrible barrel, very heavy, much thicker than it needs to be. Spoils the balance of the gun and not very nice at all. I bought this Wingmaster barrel. Now the Wingmaster is the shiny deluxe version of the 870, and this is a much lighter contour, much nicer barrel altogether, and transforms the handling of the gun. The gun is very well balanced with this barrel on. This is a full choke. This would have been, back in the day, a barrel for shooting ducks and geese, give you that extra range. We can't do that now because this is a lead barrel. We can only use steel for shooting migratory bullets. Oh, you could use it for trap shooting. It would still be fine for that. I had considered cutting the barrel down to 18.5 inches to make it more handy for use on the farm. But in the end I didn't have to, because I found this 20-inch barrel here, which is a police style barrel with sights. Ordinarily for wing bird shooting, I just ignore the sights. You would use the sights if you were aiming at large game like elk or deer or what have you. Good for 100 yards or thereabouts, slightly more. 20 inches is a good compromise. This barrel is a true cylinder barrel. I think it is. Maybe improved cylinder, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, shoots slugs fine. Very accurate. Not too bad with birdshot either. Obviously you get a more open pattern with it being an open barrel. But if you pattern a few different types of shotgun shell, you can find one that gives you the pattern that you need. But anyway, a barrel to do everything, that 20-inch one there. Highly recommended if you want a handy gun. I did try this side saddle on. Exceptionally well made aluminium side saddle. Fits there. I took it off because the first time I used it, the recoil sent the gun back into my finger and took a huge chunk of skin off. If you've got a pistol grip stock, it will be okay for that, or for tactical competitions if that's your game. But it's not what I need, so I took it off. What I'm looking for is a streamlined, slim gun. No obstructions, no pistol grips, nothing to catch on anything. Something that can be carried easily, stored easily, and used effectively and smoothly. And I keep it in this this scabbard here, which I had custom made to my design. It has a roll top of softer leather. This is hard leather. The problem with conventional scabbards is they act like a funnel. All the muck and dust, crap, rain, snow goes in the top, goes down to the bottom, and when you put your gun in, it goes in the end of your barrel, which is not a good scenario. So I had this made. It's softer leather. It's a roll top, like a canoe bag or a dry bag, call them what you want. So you slide the gun in, roll it up, flip the strap over, and the gun is safe. Hard leather protects it, ready for use whenever you want it, in clean and in good condition. The scabbard works very well. You could use it on a horse, tractor, pickup truck, whatever. Other kinds of stock that are available for this gun are pistol grip stock, which would go here. Doesn't work for me. I don't like them. I don't like the pseudo-military appearance either. This one, you can carry a side saddle on it if you want, and you can also alter the length of pull. Okay, if you want that kind of thing, not for me. I have another gun here, show you very briefly. This gun has gone through an evolution. Action is open, chamber is empty, gun is safe to handle. Originally this gun came with a plastic stock, a plastic forend, and a magazine extension here. So if you've looked at your Remington catalogue, you can recognize this as sort of like the home security gun or whatever you want. This gun doesn't belong to me. The person that owns it has tried several configurations, and the gun has evolved to its present form, which is not all that different from mine. In fact, it did have the pistol grip stock on for a while. Originally it came with this 18-inch barrel. Aha, you're saying, well that one's a lot shorter. Yeah, in actual fact it is. It's a 14-inch barrel. Which, although you might think it's illegal, is okay, because it's a Remington barrel for a Remington receiver, purposely made. It's not cut down. If I was to cut down a barrel such as this long one, I could only cut it down to 18.5 inches. But because this is purpose built by the factory for this gun, 14 inches is acceptable in the eyes of the law. You're also allowed shorter barrels if the guns are made that way from the factory. So you would be allowed a 12.5 or an 8.5 inch barrel. Now, Remington don't make them, but there is a Chinese company that make the gun that way. Just what use an 8.5 inch barrel is on a pump action shotgun, I don't know. Probably novelty value, bragging rights, who knows, anyway. This gun has been modified with an abbreviated forend, slightly shorter than mine. It's had that piece removed, possibly, or it may be a police gun, I'm not quite sure. The owner of this gun decided that he would prefer wood because the plastic is very uncomfortable in cold weather, minus 25, minus 30, whatever. You don't want that against your cheek and that against your hands if you happen to be shooting without gloves that day. So wood is also lighter, and you know, it's just better to the touch. You know, it feels better when you're using it. Similarly with the stock here, this is hasn't been altered. This is a straight stock. You can see that. There's an extension here with 2 rings on it. Another modification allows the use of a single point attachment sling. This has a side saddle on this side, currently 4 rounds, although now it has this abbreviated forend. You could have a 6 round side saddle on there quite easily. So there we are. That's a Remington 870 observations and some modifications. You don't have to go extreme to be effective. A shotgun is a shotgun is a shotgun. Now then, I don't think I have anything else to say really. If you're familiar with 870s, you'll know how good they are. So to sum it up, it's an essential tool on a northern farm, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Take care of yourselves, look after one another. Talk to you next time. Goodbye.